Here are 3 of the most notorious villainesses in the Bible, as subjectively chosen. You can view this as entertainment or as a lesson, but remember that God's love and forgiveness are always open to us, and I hope this encourages you to get closer to the Bible. First, Herodias and her daughter. Herodias was the granddaughter of Herod the Great. She was initially married to her uncle, Herod Philip I, but committed adultery with his brother, Herod Antipas, and eventually divorced her husband to marry Antipas. This marriage was problematic not only because it was incestuous but also because it was against Jewish law, which prohibited marrying a brother's wife. Additionally, the Jewish society of the time had strict regulations on divorce and remarriage, viewing such actions as ethically and religiously inappropriate. John the Baptist publicly criticized this marriage, urging people to repent and turn from their sins as a moral and religious authority. This criticism earned him the enmity of Herod and Herodias. Herodias harbored a deep grudge against John the Baptist and devised a scheme using her daughter. At Herod Antipas's palace, a grand banquet was held to celebrate his birthday. Herodias' daughter, Salome, was set to perform a special dance for Herod. The banquet hall was filled with nobles and dignitaries, and the atmosphere was heightened by anticipation. As Salome began to dance, all eyes were on her. The music played, and her dance was mesmerizing and enchanting. Herod Antipas was completely captivated by her performance, and when she finished, he was so pleased that he declared, "Ask me for anything you want, and I will give it to you, up to half my kingdom." Salome, seizing the moment, responded loudly, "I want you to give me the head of John the Baptist on a silver platter." Herod Antipas was shocked by her request, but bound by his promise and the presence of his guests, he could not refuse. He ordered John the Baptist's execution. Shortly after, John's head was brought on a silver platter to Salome, who then gave it to her mother, Herodias. This gruesome act became an infamous moment in history, marking Herodias and Salome as the figures responsible for John the Baptist's death. Second, Jezebel. Jezebel is featured in the books of Kings in the Old Testament. She was a Phoenician princess who became the wife of Ahab, king of Israel. Jezebel remains a symbol of treachery, corruption, and unrestrained desire. She actively promoted the worship of Baal and Asherah, leading Israel into idolatry and causing religious strife. During her reign, Jezebel persecuted the prophets of God. One notable story involves King Ahab coveting Naboth's vineyard, which was adjacent to the palace and ideal for a vegetable garden. However, Naboth refused to sell his ancestral land to the king. Disheartened, Ahab returned to the palace, lay down on his bed, and refused to eat. Jezebel, seeing her husband's distress, vowed to get the vineyard for him. She orchestrated a scheme using Ahab's name to accuse Naboth of blasphemy and treason. Jezebel arranged for elders and nobles to falsely testify against Naboth, accusing him of cursing God and the king. Under her orders, a trial was held, false witnesses testified, and Naboth was stoned to death. After Naboth's death, Jezebel presented the vineyard to Ahab, who was delighted. However, this act was seen as evil in the eyes of God. The prophet Elijah delivered God's judgment on Ahab and Jezebel for their wickedness. Jezebel met a gruesome end. She was thrown from a window, trampled by horses, and her body was eaten by dogs. This dramatic demise symbolizes the ultimate divine judgment against her idolatry and corruption. Third, Athaliah. Born to King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, Athaliah's path seemed set from the start. Her parents were devoted to power and idol worship. Married at a young age to Jehoram, the prince of the kingdom of Judah, she got a taste of power. But after her husband Jehoram died, Athaliah embarked on a dark path. Athaliah's son, Ahaziah, took the throne, but when he died in battle shortly after, Athaliah feared losing her grip on power. Deep in her heart, she was always plagued by insecurity. Under Queen Athaliah's rule, the kingdom of Judah was enveloped in a cloud of fear. Her insatiable thirst for power was satisfied by only one means: ruthless murder. One misty dawn, the royal palace echoed with screams and terror. Athaliah's forces raided the royal residence, and no one could stop her cold determination. She began systematically eliminating all royal family members who could threaten her reign. The corridors of the palace were stained with tragedy, and it seemed that the future of Judah was swallowed by darkness. Though she had crowned herself queen, her rule was drenched in blood. However, under God's providence, a glimmer of hope remained. Amid Athaliah's bloody reign, the priest Jehoiada was quietly preparing a counter-move. He had been hiding Wash, the only surviving heir from Athaliah's massacre. Jehoiada carefully gathered allies and, during a public ceremony, proclaimed Wash as king. Hearing this, Athaliah was filled with rage and fear, crying out, "Treason!" as she rushed to the palace. But her fate was already sealed. Under Jehoiada's orders, she was dragged out of the palace and executed. Today, we have explored the stories of 3 of the most notorious women in the Bible. Next time, we will introduce you to 5 of the greatest women in the Bible. Stay tuned.